My boyfriend and I got saved a month apart from one another 1 year ago. So amen, congratulations. I have grown to have a robust relationship with the Lord that involves community, church, and repenting of sin. My boyfriend refuses to join community, attend church, and barely reads his Bible. This has been going on for a year. I have drawn boundaries for both physical and emotional intimacy to guard my heart. He is pushing for marriage but not pursuing the Lord. What advice would you give?
That was my response. If you are a believer and after listening to this message, and the three things are to pursue your relationship with the Lord by reading the Bible, being in prayer, and being in community, then you're going to want that not just for yourself, but for whoever you spend your life with. And if they're not doing that, you're the last one that's going to be able to convince them to do that. If they're not doing that on their own, if they're not doing that by you praying for them and the Lord's not moving their heart, it's not happening.
And in a dating relationship, you're on your best behavior, right?
Exactly. So as hard as it may sound, that person is probably not who you should be with right now. If they choose to go that direction and pursue those things that are most important, then there may be a future down the road, but you can't hold out hope for that either. You need to pray for that for them, just for their eternal, relationship with the Lord. But it's not a safe place for you, and it will only get worse in marriage. If they're not drawn to that before marriage, so that you can be together walking that path with the Lord, it's not going to happen later.
And I think a lot of it is there's the how to and there's the want to. And if you're with someone and they want to, but they don't know the how to, it's pretty easy to teach them the how to. If they don't have the want to, that's a real problem. If it's a guy who says, I want to learn the Bible, I don't know how to do it. Can you teach me? Yeah, we could do that. I want to pray. I don't know how to pray. Can you teach me? Yeah. If he's saying, I don't want to, then you've got a real problem, because if they're not self-motivated, especially if it's a man and he's not self-motivated, right, to walk with God, then imagine marrying him. You continue to grow, because if you got saved at a similar, age like a year ago. So let's say you're both here unbelievers, and then you both get saved, and then you're growing and he's not for the rest of your life. And then you have kids and they're growing and he's not for the rest of your life. All you're creating is real distance in the relationship, and that distance is pain. It's pain. And so there are a lot of women who are married to professing Christian men who don't practice Christian faith. They're not reading their Bible, they're not in relationship, and they're not praying. And those women are very sad. They're very lonely because they feel like the most important part of them, their husband doesn't participate in. And I would say this, if I wasn't praying with Grace, if I wasn't praying for Grace, if we weren't talking about the scriptures together, I wouldn't even know her, because I wouldn't know the most important part of her soul. And intimacy is built at the level of the soul. So for this person, I would say, if you are attending here and we are your church family, one of the men who's a pastor on staff would love to meet with this man. Not to beat him up, but to build him up and to ask, is it a want to or a how to? And if it's a how to, we can help. If it's a want to, we're going to have questions about whether or not you've actually met Jesus, because when you meet Jesus, your appetites change, your desires change. All of a sudden you're like, I want to learn the Bible, I want to pray, I want to be, loving and safe toward the women in my life, especially the most important women in my life. I want to take on my responsibilities. Those are evidences that God is at work in a man's life when he wants to be a different man. And the men who have become Christians, you understand that. You're like, I want to do better. I want to be more like Jesus. And so for this woman, I would say, maybe you did both meet the Lord, but somehow he's not growing. And it's not just marrying someone who's a believer. It's marrying someone that you can walk step by step with, that you're equal in your convictions and your commitments and all of that. So yeah, I would encourage this gal to not be pushed into marriage, but to encourage him to go speak to an older godly man or one of the pastors here at the church, and let's see if we can get involved privately and see if we can be of help to him. And if not, I tell you the same thing I'd tell my daughter, I want the best for you. And this doesn't sound like the best. Now, if he's willing to make some changes, it could be a good thing. But if he's unwilling and he's on his best behavior, it's only going to get worse from here. And you add kids, it's going to get sadder, more painful.